This portion of New Day Northwest is sponsored by IBS Treatment Center.
Welcome back to Wellness Wednesday on New Day. Irritable bowel syndrome is a debilitating diagnosis and can lead to isolation and humiliation.
But the IBS Treatment Center is changing the outcome for many and successfully treating this disease. Please welcome from the IBS Treatment Center, Dr. Stephen Wangen and his patient, Beate Chalette.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming by. Dr. Wangen, I was actually surprised to hear that IBS is even treatable. You hear so many horror stories about it.
Right. I think that's the message we want to get across, because that's the typical patient we see is they're told it's not treatable. They're told there's not really much we can do. Maybe you can manage it to get by. And we find, I mean, we've treated thousands of people successfully for IBS and for digestive problems. And I wanted to convey that sense of hope to people. I wanted them to know that there are solutions for them. And so today I brought a guest, a patient, Beate Chalette, to share her story, because that's something I think that's really important for people to hear, is the kind of thing that she went through.
Beate, tell us your story.
Well, my story is a very typical IBS story. Little by little, I just had stuff with my stomach going on. I ate a bad piece of chicken, and then I went to the doctor. I got antibiotics, and it got better, it got worse. And so over a period of several years, I mean, my battle with IBS was 10 years long.
Before diagnosis?
Before diagnosis, yes. Wow. I kept going to the doctor. The doctor told me there was nothing wrong with me, that I was anxious, and that it was all in my head, because they couldn't really find anything. And it wasn't until I finally had it, and I was really searching for a solution, until I met Dr. Wangen, who basically gave me my life back.
And life with IBS is challenging.
Oh, it's unbelievable. I think that what most people don't realize is that you start giving up things little by little. So you stop drinking alcohol, so your glass of wine, you're conscious about it. You don't drink the coffee because you're worried about what it will do to you. You don't eat the sugar. So little by little, your whole life is adjusted.
Flying, you said.
Oh, the worst. The whole idea of going on an airplane, the doors closing, and then they say, do not get up. And you sit in that seat and you go, I hope it's going to go okay, and you keep your fingers crossed, and sometimes you're lucky and sometimes you're not so lucky, because you're so paranoid. I was thinking about it yesterday as I was flying into Seattle. So I'm going on the airplane. I'm doing great on the plane right now. And then I go in the car, and I'm stuck in the tunnel in rush hour, in traffic in Seattle, a city I don't know. And I'm thinking, 3 years ago, I would have had a full-blown panic attack, and now I'm great. So it really changes everything. You don't want to go out to dinner. Dating, impossible. How are you going to date if you don't know if you can tolerate the food? Traveling, disastrous.
It's like having a really bad traveling companion with you all the time, right?
Okay, here's a bad joke I used to make. I said, I could write a travel guide by where the bathrooms are.
Oh, yeah. Well, my mother could do that, too, for entirely different reasons, which we won't get into
Dr.
today.
Wangen, what would you say to somebody who is suffering from IBS?
Well, I think that what I want people to know is they're not alone. There are so many people with this problem. There are millions of people in this country who have digestive problems, and they feel like there's just nowhere to get help. They're seeing lots of doctors. They're going to people they think are experts on this topic. And yet they're left with this sense of hopelessness, that there's nothing they can do. And many of them, I can't tell you how many times I've heard stories like Beate's, where people they're looking for every restroom everywhere they go. They don't go places because they're afraid of what'll happen. They're in so much discomfort that they don't want to go out anyway. It just is wearing them down, and it's changing their whole life. And I want people to know that there is hope, because we've seen so many IBS patients. That's our focus, is helping those people who feel like there's nowhere else to get help.
Okay, well, thank you so much for sharing your story. And I believe we also have your story. Oops, I just broke something. Happy Woman, Happy World. Overwhelmed by Awesome, Beate Chalette, also an author. Thanks so much. Please visit our website for a link to the IBS Treatment Center. And the next thing is for you to say.
I'm going to say it then.
Okay.
Next up on Wellness Wednesday.
I'm new here.
Options for a la carte plastic surgery, whether you're hoping for a big change or just want to refresh your look. That's next.